Hello everyone, I'm Aaron Vissia and you're watching Up Front from the Alberni Valley. Today my guest is Matt Hughes. He is the general manager and head coach of the Alberni Valley Bulldogs. Well, welcome Matt. Thank you for joining us today on Up Front. Good to get to know the people that are running things in the Valley here, being the Bulldogs team. Let me start out by getting to know you a bit first. You're new to the community. There was over 100 applications for head coach of the Alberni Valley Bulldogs. Obviously an interesting spot to take. Tell us about yourself and how you think you managed to pull off that position.
You know what? I was kind of happy with what I was doing working at a hockey academy in Kelowna, and I got a phone call from someone I used to know. And he asked me if I'd be interested in perhaps applying for the position if it came up. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, yeah. I had spent some time here in 2009 during the World Under-17 Challenge they had here. I was a coach with Team Pacific.
Remember it well.
And
okay.
The community was great, and that's what I remembered about it. And then my previous stops in the league, you know, you come in here as a visiting team, and the atmosphere in the arena is great. The fans are loud. It was always a tough building to come play in. So I put my name in, and we went through the interview process and did a couple of online interviews with the board of directors. And they asked some really good questions. And the thing that got me was they really wanted to do things right here. They take a lot of pride in how their players get treated in the community and with how they wanted their program run. Mm-hmm. And they wanted someone to come in here and kind of do it their way, as in, you know, do it my way, but also, you know, understand, you know, the standing in the community here. I mean, the people know who you are here, mm-hmm. like right away. And as a coach and as for our players as well, like people know you. After you're here for a day or two, your picture's in the paper and people want to say hi. And it's been a real fun time since I got here in the middle of June, getting to meet people around the town and just seeing how valuable the Bulldogs are to this community. Mm-hmm.
I think it's the culture that the community likes to see. And
well, yeah, it's very much their team, mm-hmm. and they really love that. Yeah. And it's been fun to be a part of so far.
Okay, and a bit of your background.
A bit of my background. You know, grew up in Kamloops. And played hockey my whole life, played junior hockey in Penticton, went and played a little bit of pro over in Europe, got hurt real bad, got my 9th concussion over there, so decided it was probably time to do something else. And then the coaching thing kind of just happened by chance. I was working for a friend of mine in Penticton when I came back from Europe, and I got offered a coaching job with the Bantam AAA team in Penticton, so they needed a coach. Mm-hmm. I said, why not? Let's give it a try. And me and a friend of mine I grew up with, or I met while I played in Penticton, took that job and had a great time and loved it and had some success. And that just kind of opened up some doors for me to get into the junior hockey world, and kind of been all over Western Canada coaching and getting experience and meeting new people and increasing the network. And that's kind of what brought me here.
Right on. So did you move to Alberni by yourself, or
yeah, I moved to Alberni originally by myself. My girlfriend who's joined me, she's in the paramedics program at the college here. So it was nice that, you know, the college was able to offer something that she was looking to get into. It's always nice to have some support at home when you get home from the rink.
Definitely.
So that's been a definite positive.
Yeah, good stuff. And she can keep an eye on you on those concussions too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. She corrects me ad nauseum.
I'm sure. Let's talk about the support staff. And you're starting with a brand new slate this year. You being the new coach, you got a new assistant coach, new director of business, and now with the recent departure of Jolie McMullen too, that changes the office again. Talk about the office a bit. I guess that was part of the intrigue of coming here when the job first came up, was that it was likely going to be a fresh start for the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was able to hire Jeff Dubois as my assistant coach and assistant general manager, and Jeff's been a lifesaver thus far. You know, the guy does a ton of work, very knowledgeable, you know, taking a load off my plate, and also helped out with the recruiting part of it and the coaching. He does a great job with the D and the special teams. We also hired a new athletic therapist, Scott Crema, as the previous guy moved on as well, and Scott's been nothing short of amazing in the rehab of our players so far and taking care of the guys, so that's been great. Mm-hmm. And then obviously coming in and meeting Jolie and seeing how the front office worked and stuff was a real neat experience, because every front office works a little bit differently, but she works extremely hard, and we're sad to see her go, but she's on to bigger and better things for her and her family. Mm-hmm. And then as an organization, we hired Tally Campbell. And this was, I guess, a little over a month ago now, to come in and work with Jolie. And obviously with her leaving now, more goes on his plate. But him and I are trying to work together to keep everything rolling along and get some fresh ideas in here and keep things going. Okay, and you also have Rick Skivink with
Yes.
the team, and he has a new role as well, I understand?
Yeah, Rick is our Director of Scouting and Player Development. And Rick does a lot of work with our guys kind of before and after practice in the one-on-one development. Does a lot of video work individually with the guys. And Rick's a guy I've known probably through our time with BC Hockey over the years, probably about for 10 years on and off. Rick and I knew each other. And it's funny, when this job first came up, Rick was the first guy I called. Just to ask his opinion of how things go here and what kind of a spot it is and stuff. And Rick had nothing but great things to say. And having him come on board as a local guy that knows the community and knows the history and the pride that people take in this organization here in the community has been really beneficial.
And Rick's one of those guys who you've seen on the ice for a long time in this community, and very engaging with the kids.
Yeah.
Really knows his stuff.
Well, he does a great job, and he's, as far as the technology and the video stuff that he does with the guys, like he does our video editing live during our home games, which takes about 3 hours of work off my plate. So it's been a huge help, and he's been in the game for a long time and has a lot of valuable knowledge.
Anybody we missed?
No, I think that's everybody.
Okay, a bunch of volunteers helping in the office, of course.
Well, the volunteer group here is amazing. I mean, I know it's been. I've had a chance to go to a brunch with our volunteers in the summer and get a chance to meet all of them and hear all the positive things they had to say about the organization and some things we could perhaps do better and try and help them along. But I mean, without the volunteers and the billet families and our billet coordinator, Lori Smiley, who does an amazing job, I mean, this whole thing wouldn't work.
Excellent. So the players themselves, let's talk a bit about them. What does it take to be a Bulldog from your perspective? What are your expectations of them? And what do they expect from you?
Well, as far as the type of players we went after in the recruiting process, obviously there was a big turnover here this year in players. I think we ended up bringing in 19 fresh faces to the community this year. But what we looked for in players was, I mean, obviously skill level, skating, work ethic, but a lot of the background on was the type of players, the type of people they are. You know, were they leaders with their previous organizations? What did their previous coaches have to say about them? What did other scouts have to say about them? And, you know, what type of families did they come from? And it's a pretty extensive background check because there's a lot of junior hockey players around. And I think with what we wanted to do here with kind of a retooling was make sure we brought in players that A, were of high quality playing wise, but B, of a high character. Guys that want to go to the gym and work hard and get better every day. Guys that want to be coached, most importantly, and know that there's improvements they can make in their game. And guys that have a goal to go to college. We want to move as many players on from our program as possible and set them up for the rest of their lives. And I mean, that's what we were looking for. So it's more than just going and watching a guy for 5 minutes and saying he skates pretty well, we want him. You know, you want to do background on people because not only is it a big commitment from us, but it's a big commitment from these kids and their families to send their players here and send their sons here for us to keep an eye on them and aid in their, I guess, journey to accomplish their goals.
And what are they looking for from you as a coach?
I think guidance, knowledge, leadership. I mean, as much as we want to develop good hockey players, we want to develop guys that are going to be contributors in society. You know, they have good values, they give back to the community. I mean, that's something that's big for us, is having our guys out there involved in the reading programs, in with the schools, volunteering with the different, you know, companies around town that need a little bit from our guys, and volunteering at a gas station, at a car wash, you know, getting out at minor hockey practices, and just being a real visible piece of the community.
And the Bulldogs in the past have had a lot of glory days, some challenging times. What do you see yourself maybe doing different this time with this group to turn them into champions?
Well, I think everyone has their own way. A lot of it, I mean, building a winner and building a consistent winner is as much about the people you have around you, as far as our support staff, our coaches, our front office staff, our board of directors, and our billet families, and making this a place that good players want to come. And when they're here and when they leave here, they have nothing but good things to say about how they were treated, how they were developed, how their home life was, how much we took care of their schooling. I mean, I guess, and you said, did I forget anybody? And I did. I forgot about Tom McAfee.
I was going to bring him up as well.
Our educational advisor, who is, without a doubt, second to none in junior A hockey in Canada, and does an amazing job taking care of our guys and their schooling and making sure they're getting the courses they need and the information they need, and also keeping an eye on them. If a guy is struggling or a guy needs a tutor here or there, I mean, Tom's right on it. And with his connections with the different NCAA schools, I mean, it's been very beneficial just in terms of contacts for all of us so far.
Yeah, definitely a huge asset. And he's also very good at keeping track of alumni.
Oh, he does an amazing job. I mean, he's been in touch with all our guys. I mean, just as far as, it's one of the things we wanted to get back, I guess, was some of the history here. And you mentioned it, but they've had a lot of really good hockey players come through here that have moved on, and some really good hockey teams. But I think there's been over 130 players that have gone on to post-secondary education from the Bulldogs. Yeah. You know, and whether it's a matter of getting a signed picture from that kid saying, you know what, keep the tradition going, guys, or we're building a little wall of honor in our dressing room with all the players' names and the school they went to and the year they went there, and just so when you walk into our dressing room, you see what it means to be a Bulldog, and you have, you know, pride in putting that sweater on.
Back to that culture again.
Exactly, it's
Fantastic,
a big thing.
Yeah, and then I understand there is in your camp you had 6 players from the island who were trying out. 1 was chosen from Alberni, and 3 from other parts of the island. Let's talk about local players, and is that important?
Well, I think it's important to cultivate the local minor hockey system. I mean, as much as you want to have local players, it's important that those local players deserve the opportunity to be here, just as much as anybody else does. I mean, you want to find those players and make sure you don't miss them. And this year we were lucky enough to have Ezra Paddock at camp, and he earned a spot. And he was one of our top players, and he's been very steady so far. It was unfortunate that he got injured early in the year, and he's working hard to come back. But it's always nice to have that element if you can. But I think there's lots of pieces that go into that. You know, as a local player, there's that pressure of playing in front of family and friends every day. Yeah. And you got to make sure you talk to that player about that, because it's a different element for them. You know, and I mean, I think we had 6 local Alberni Valley players in camp, and probably, I would say, between 15 and 20 players from throughout the island at our main camp, all that showed really well. You know, and guys that we're looking at for the future as well. But it was nice to see that there was some guys that came in and had real good showings in camp, and they're developing in their various programs right now, and we hope, you know, come the following years, they have an opportunity to play for us.
Does it play on your decision when it is a local player versus someone from outside, or
I think it's
they
hard.
earn their spot?
The way you have to, and that's part of culture, I guess, is you got to make a decision as an organization, as a coaching staff, and our culture is we're going to take the 23 players that earn their positions, not based on where they're from. And if you're lucky enough to have a local player in that mix, that's great. If they earn it, and that's, as a player, I think that's what you want. You don't want to be given it just because of where you're from. You want to earn it, and that's, you know, a small life lesson for kids. It's not going to be easy just because you're a hometown guy. You got to earn it just like everybody else.
I think it may help with selling tickets as well, though.
Oh, without a doubt. Everyone wants a couple hometown guys on their team. And like I said, it's great when you can have them, but you want to make sure that they're key contributors, and that, I mean, most importantly, that it's the right move for that player at that time. Because there's nothing worse than having a local guy that struggles, because the pressures on that kid can be even worse. You know, but if he comes in and he works hard and he excels like everybody else, then you got to be happy for him.
Definitely, right on. So speaking about selling tickets, it takes money to run this team. Money doesn't fall out of the sky, so I guess you got a whole large group of stakeholders that you got to be accountable to, because it's a community-owned team. So you're in charge of keeping the community happy on this one. Where does the money come from? What's the budget look like? How does it all work?
Well, I mean, we have a board of directors, and it's a community-owned team, and I mean, they do a great job at making this a place where we can do certain things for our players where we're not limited, as opposed to, say, some of the big budget private operations. In terms of our budget, without getting into numbers and stuff, it's very good. And our players get treated like gold, which is all you can ask for from your board of directors. As far as the support goes from them, they've been great so far. You know, we meet regularly. Everyone's kept in the loop, which I think is the most important thing as to what's going on. If there are issues, we deal with them together. And you know what I mean. As far as for me, I guess everything comes. The buck stops with me when, as far as a decision gets made with things. But I mean, there's a lot of people involved in those decision-making processes. But part of my job is to make the decision that's best for the Alberni Valley Bulldogs.
And money is from ticket sales, sponsorships,
all that kind of stuff.
Draws.
Yeah, draws. The marketing department does a great job at keeping this thing going. And I mean, everyone. The thing I heard most about this community was how great our fans are and the support. And it's been great so far.
How many seats do you need to fill to make it work?
All of them.
All of them?
All of them every night in a perfect world.
Gotcha.
You know, but I mean, but we got to earn that with how we play. You know, we got to put an entertaining product on the ice, and a product that the community can be proud of.
Yeah. Winning team helps, definitely.
Yes, it does.
You betcha.
Yes, it does.
So I guess that puts a lot of extra pressure on you too then, as far as having to make sure those seats aren't filled. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's part of the job. And it's no different at this level than it is in the National Hockey League. You know, people want to come watch a winner, and they want to come watch an entertaining product on the ice. And you got to balance your decision making between what's best for the organization and what's best for the players.
Okay, sounds good. Trading deadlines coming up. Well, not coming up. We're a little ways away from that now. January of next year. What do you see from now till then? Do you see a lot of changes happening? Are you happy where you're at?
We're happy with the team we recruited. I mean, at this point in time, we haven't made any changes, and we're running into a bit of injury bug right now. I mean, it's hard to look down the road because you don't know what's going to happen and what's going to become available. I mean, the way we look at it, if there's a player available that makes us a better hockey team now and in the future, then it's something we're going to look at. But I mean, we believe in coaching and developing the players that we recruited. I mean, that's what all the hard work is for in the summer. I mean, you're traveling all over the place in the summer and you're spending countless hours on the phone getting to know these kids, and that's why you got to, if you do your job in the summer, you shouldn't have to do much during the year, barring injury.
I thought you'd be at the beach or on the golf course in the summer, no?
I wish.
Yeah.
Yes, I wish.
It doesn't come easy, right?
No, yeah, because it's like what you teach your players, though. I mean, you earn what you get.
Your work ethic.
And if you work hard in the summer and you set a good example as far as what you're asking these kids to do, if they see that you're a hardworking staff, then you know everyone just kind of buys in.
Okay, so talking about recruiting players and how you pick them, and you say we got pretty much a new slate of players this year, all new faces. I was looking at the website earlier, and I noticed that Josh Bonner is one of our scouts, alumni of Alberni.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
You know, I coached against Josh the last couple of years in the Midget Prep League and the Sports School League there in BC, and knew him but didn't really know who he was. And then getting involved in the team, when I got the job, Josh was one of the first guys that called and said, hey, you know what, I'm working at Burnaby Winter Club, which is a great program in BC, and we've got lots of players coming through here that I'd love to try and help out get to the Bulldogs. And he's been great so far. I mean, he's got nothing but great things to say about our program. I mean, he was a big deal in helping us get the commitment from Brad Ong, who was a Burnaby Winter Club star last year. And you know, Josh is helping us out and putting us in contact with some of the players he's coaching this year. And I mean, it's when you got alumni helping you out, that's bragging up the community and how great a time he had and how much of an impact this place had on getting him to where he is now. I mean, that's all you can ask.
And if I'm not mistaken, he was part of the very first years, the inaugural years. He was early in
pretty close
the
too.
For sure,
Before my time, but pretty close
okay,
too. Yes.
Yeah, close to.
Yes.
So we'll confirm that after. So what is the process of scouting then? They just going out looking for you give them criteria. Here's what we're looking for. This is what we need to fill right now.
Well, and that's in conjunction with Rick Cervank. We've got a pretty good scouting network, and guys kind of based all over North America, and we'll have bi-weekly or monthly scouting calls. Yeah. And you know, when we first got into this, we figured, okay, we're going to need some new bodies here as far as the style of play we want it to play. So we're going to have to go identify some players. And so, I mean, it was through phone calls and flights and driving and going to see kids as far away as Boston and New York and California and Eastern Canada, and just trying to get a beat on the players and acquiring as much information as you can, and relying on people's eyes. And when you got to trust the people you have helping you out. And
so
sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was just going to say we're fortunate to have some really good guys on our side.
So, and they're not only looking at them on the ice, but they're talking to them off the ice to find out that.
Oh, for sure.
The attitude.
Like I said, I mean, most guys in this business at this level, you can watch a game for 5 or 10 minutes and pick out the best couple of guys. But then it's a matter of, you know what, let's talk to his coach. See what kind of character he is in the dressing room. Is he a leader? How does he handle adversity? And you know what, let's talk to the family. Are they interested in coming out west? You know, depending on where they're from. What are they Western League kids? Are they looking to go that route? Are they looking to go NCAA? I mean, there's a whole bunch of different questions you can ask.
Okay. So being part of the BCHL, how's the organization overall? Good to work with, lots of changes?
As far as the league goes?
Yeah.
It's been good. I mean, it's a lot of the same guys running it as when I was last in the league in the mid-2000s there. I mean, John Grisdale's still the president, or whatever his job title is, and does a great job of keeping everybody in line. And Trevor Alto is another guy that's come on board that, you know, he's director of hockey operations for the league, and is a great guy to call if you got a question here and there about different rules that are in and the directory and whatnot. But the league runs itself like the best junior A league in Canada, which they build themselves as, and you can't argue with that.
Oh, right on. Just a bit of an off-the-wall question, not even related to the BCHL or the Bulldogs or anything else, but I'm a hockey dad of 2 female players. Went through the system, and what we saw over the time was my girls were passionate, loved hockey, liked to be involved, but unfortunately it's a declining enrollment for female hockey. And when we started in around 2004, there were 6 teams in Port Alberni female. Now there's none. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are it's too bad. I mean, I've been in a lot of different cities where there's that same issue, and it's unfortunate. I mean, the female program deserves as much attention as any male program does, and I mean, I think whether it be numbers or quality of coaching or whatever it can be for minor hockey. I mean, I know in Port Alberni, from what I've heard so far, the numbers for minor hockey are declining on both ends
overall,
of it, with the male program as well. And all you can do is, for us, is try and get as involved in that as you can, and try and give as much back to the community as you can. But unfortunately, it's kind of one of those things that's a nationwide issue right now.
Yeah, for sure. Do you ever see an opportunity that something bigger could happen for female hockey as far as
I think there
opportunities?
is. I think there is, but it seems like the route for female hockey seems to be the academy world right now. Where a lot of them are having to move away at a young age, unfortunately, to go and get the quality of hockey they want and the coaching. Whether we're in the small communities, they just don't have a team where it can be all girls, for instance. Sometimes the girls got to play with the guys' teams, and at a certain age, that gets not what they want to do.
Which is the case now, so we don't want to discourage girls from joining because they still can join minor hockey.
Well, exactly. No, there's lots of opportunities for them, but I think, I mean, the way it looks right now, from what I've seen, is the academy route seems to be growing. But with that comes cost. And again, it's the parents, are you prepared to pay that? Or are you prepared to have your 13 or 14 or 15-year-old daughter move away?
Exactly.
You know?
Big decisions.
It is.
For sure. So one final question for you. You know, you're new to Port Alberni, you've been here for a short time. Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Jeez. If I could
if
I could tell you that, I'd be a pretty smart guy.
Okay, you're a goal setter, right?
Yeah.
What do you see as a 5-year goal?
Geez, you know what? I'm not that much of a distance looker. I got to be honest with you. As 5 years down the road, I mean,
let's go 2 years.
I mean, my focus in 2 years is to build this program, the Alberni Valley Bulldogs, into a consistent winner in the BC Hockey League, and move as many kids on to NCAA as we can, and really solidify this thing. And like I said before, like just make this a place that not only kids want to come, but parents want to send their players, coaches want to send their kids their coaching in midget hockey, and a place they know that kids are going to come, they're going to get treated properly, they're going to get coached, and they're going to live in a great environment and grow up to be good people.
Fantastic. Good stuff. Awesome. Thank you very much for your interview.
Thank you very much.
It's good to meet you, and all the best of luck. You've got the community support.
Much appreciated.
And if you're interested in getting involved, or you have something to say, then find a way to get involved. I'm Aaron Vicia, and you're watching Up Front from the Alberni Valley.